So you were non-physical energy before you came into this body, and the larger part of you still is. The part of you that is here in this physical body is sorting and sifting and on the leading edge, just like you knew you would, coming up with new things that you know would make your life better. And so when you launch those rockets, a wonderful thing happens. Energy follows those rockets. Your inner being, who is still non-physically focused, follows the direction of those rockets of desire. And your inner being never ceases to put attention upon what you have just now newly added to your list of what you prefer here in your physical creating, in your physical life experience. So we want to introduce to you a slightly new way of looking at this that we know will serve you, and it will make it easier for you to stay on the path, and by that we mean on your path of least resistance. We want you to understand that as you launch a rocket of desire, and then you follow that rocket by thinking about why you want it and how good it feels, by looking for reasons to feel satisfied, not only about where you are, but about what you're reaching for, that what happens is you click in, or you resonate with, or you find vibrational compatibility, you find mutuality with the vibrational frequency of your source. And when you find that vibrational harmony with the frequency of your source, then you thrive. And you know you're thriving because you can feel the satisfaction factor in the moments that you are thriving. So we're going to put one very important statement out here for you, and then off we'll go to talk about whatever you want to talk about. When you don't have enough money and you want more money, you launch a rocket. If someone's rude and you want them to be nicer, you launch a rocket. If you're rude and you want to be nicer, you launch a rocket. These desires are born out of day-to-day experience, and they are not the big writing on the wall sort of epiphanies that you think they are. They are born out of day-to-day experience with one another. So as you launch this rocket of desire, and the energy that is your thought emanates toward that rocket of desire, your inner being focuses upon your rocket of desire. And what we want you to understand is the satisfaction factor when you and your inner being are focused in mutuality at the same thing at the same time. Which leads us to remind you about your emotional guidance system, because that's what all of your emotions are. They are your indicators of your relationship with the attitude that your inner being has about what you are asking for, and the attitude that you have about what you are asking for. So when you are disappointed that what you're asking for has not yet come to full fruition, it's not parked in your garage yet, or sleeping in your bed yet, or money in your bank yet. You want it, but you can't see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it yet. So in that physical absence, you choose to feel its absence and therefore feel disappointment. And the reason you do feel disappointment is because you're focused differently than your inner being is about the progression of this creation. Your inner being knows that it is a process. Your inner being knows that it is energy in motion. Your inner being understands the powerful law of attraction. Your inner being knows that the cooperative components have been gathered and are being gathered. So your inner being feels no disappointment because your inner being doesn't see it not becoming. Your inner being knows it is becoming. But if you're taking score of its physical state of being, I can't see it yet, and therefore I'm noticing its absence, then your dissatisfaction is your indicator that you're just looking in the wrong direction. And it can't come to you as long as you're doing that. You must become a cooperative component. We've written a few books, and a significant book that we want to call your attention to, we named The Vortex, because it speaks about a vibrational reality. Whenever we speak of the vortex, Esther indicates it this way: it's this vibrational reality that you can't see, but exists just the same. And it holds the vibrational frequency and it gathers the cooperative components that make up the beginning stages of your full-fledged creation. It's not something that you can look in and see. In fact, some of you got a little annoyed with us when we were talking so much about it, and you said, Abraham, okay, we accept it. There's a vortex there. We can't see it. You see it. All right, it's there. Just tell me, how do I get my money out of the vortex and into the bank? And we say, it's coming. It's in the state of becoming. But your determination to keep looking in the bank and saying it isn't there yet keeps you from being in the receptive mode where you feel the inspiration to make the moves and be in the places and feel the inspiration and have the timing that rendezvous you with your money. You've got to be a cooperative component to the cooperative components that Source has already gathered. And that's really what we talk about all day, every day that we're visiting with you. We want you to find out how to be a cooperative component with your inner being, meaning with the larger part of you, and also meaning with everything that you have asked for that is in various stages of becoming for you. Now we're going to say something that you may not like. What's in the vortex has already become. It is in a vibrational state ready for your harvesting. It's been delivered. It's been created. You have to receive it. And that's hard for you to hear because you're banging around in this physical world where you see so many physical things and you don't really understand the process about how all of them came to be. We want you to listen with us a little bit in these hours that we are together and see if you can't discover within yourself that knowledge that you were born with, that you can be or do or have anything that you choose, but you have to be in the receiving mode of it. And you are the only one who can ever get crossways of it and therefore prevent yourself from having it. Humans often come to such bogus conclusions that if I don't have something and someone else does, somehow they are depriving me of it. No one can deprive you of your creation. Nobody else can get between you and your creation. And it is our promise to you. You have created plenty, enough wonderful things. Your vortex has enough to keep you happily engaged for 20 or 30 lifetimes. There's no shortage. You've just got to start lining up with it, which means you've got to stop noticing its absence and start feeling for the satisfaction of its becoming. So, what do you want to talk about?
Thank you. I really appreciate you. My question, the so-called experts say that us humans only use 5% of our capability. What's the secret to tapping into the remainder, if they are correct?
Well, we've been talking about that.
I've realized the answer to my question has been answered several times this morning.
It's what that leverage is that we're talking about. To some extent, they have very scanty information about it. Their examination of humans is really not complete in terms of the energetic flow, because they aren't factoring in thought, but they are beginning to factor in vibrational frequencies. They are beginning to notice the brain waves and that sort of thing, but they're not factoring in the connection of source prior to it. They're wanting man to stand alone, and then they want to examine that. And we just know for sure that there's a big difference between someone who's tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and one who isn't. It is as stark a comparison as, you know what they know about life force? They only know when you don't have it and they pronounce you dead. That's about as far as their understanding goes. Right. But they don't understand the fullness of it and what the fullness of it can be. But that's why when you think about all that you are and all that you've lived and all that your inner being knows and all that you've put into your vibrational vortex, into your vibrational reality, and then you think about being tuned to that and the insight that it gives, don't you sometimes catch yourself in a moment of clarity knowing something. We're talking even about practical things, knowing something and realizing that you had been jumping to all kinds of conclusions that were not accurate, and now suddenly you really do know. Esther had a really satisfying moment the other day changing light bulbs. Now it seems really simple that it would be changing light bulbs that would make her see the light, but it was sort of like that. So she has some sconces in her bathroom in Del Mar, and they kept burning out. The light bulbs kept burning out, and so she was suspicious that there was something wrong with the circuit. So she had set that thought in motion, and then someone brought her some light bulbs, and she put them in, and then the lights just were strobing on and off and on and off and on and off, and the dimmer was going up and down and up and down and up and down. So her conclusion was, that's why the lights have been burning out. There's something wrong with the circuit. So she took the bulbs out, decided that she would have to get an electrician to come and see, but she'd already had an electrician looking at that, and he said, no, it's just that the light bulbs are burned out. So she'd been kind of all around on that, not knowing what to think. We know this is a simple conversation and really boring, but stay with us for a moment. So then all of a sudden, before she did anything drastic like have the unit torn out of the wall, she remembered something that she had been unable to remember given the lack of satisfaction mode that she was in. She remembered the same thing happened in Texas. Someone changed the bulbs on the porch. Bulb by her bedroom was flashing. She couldn't figure out how to make it stop flashing, so in the middle of the night she just went out and disconnected the bulb, and it turned out that it just had incompatible light bulbs in the socket that didn't like the Lutron system. Well, now you would think that Esther would have been able to make that association because it had happened to her only a few months ago. Light bulbs flashing, wasn't anything wrong with the system, just the wrong light bulbs. But she couldn't find that thought. She was frustrated over not being able to get the light bulbs to work. She didn't have access to a thought, even a reasonable thought that she had just received not that long ago. So she had to put some distance between it. She just unscrewed the light bulbs and said it doesn't matter, forgot about it, got distracted, did some other things, and all of a sudden she said, I know what it is, I know what it is, I know what it is. And you would have thought that she had discovered the cure for some. So satisfying. So satisfying when you let a thought in that's been trying to get in. So satisfying to your inner being when you receive the thought that we've been thinking. So satisfying when you ask a question, you're looking for a solution. We know what the path of least resistance is for you, and you follow the path of least resistance until you have your answer. You see what we're getting at?
I do.
Oh, you have infinite intelligence at your fingertips. It's true, you are not using very much of it most of the time, but you could. Something more?
That was it.
Really good.
Thank you.
Really good.
Don't forget to leave a positive message and subscribe.